30 minutes ago, we lost contact with several of our landing parties on the new Halo ring. Shortly thereafter, we received confirmation of a large banished invasion.
When a new ring is launched, the Ark activates access points, so Sentinels can finalize preparations. Atriox must be using these points to send his troops up.
We have to stop the flow of banished reinforcements getting to this access point before our forces on the Halo are overwhelmed. Once that's done, we can send our forces up to help clean the banished off the ring.
And Captain, if I may, please try to limit collateral damage while you're down there. The Foundry is literally the birthplace of the Halos. There's so much we could learn from it about slip space travel, gravitational manipulation, or building the biggest guns the galaxy has ever seen. Just don't blow it up.
Time to try and blast our way through. Every second we wait, the Banished are moving more troops onto the ring through that access point. We've got to reach the Foundry and stop the Banished boarding the ring.
That Scarab's plasma beam could easily destroy the Banished barricades. If we could capture it, that is.
I know just the people for the job. Alice, Douglas, fight your way through and capture that Scarab.
It'll be a pleasure. Hold them back! Spirit of fire! We need backup! We can't hold out much longer!
Support's on its way. Hang on.
Hello everybody and welcome to the 10th mission of my Halo Wars 2 Legendary Walkthrough Guide for the Foundry. Now this mission is going to be much more simple than the previous mission, Under the Dark, and it's pretty much the most difficult section of this mission is going to be this first part all the way up to where the Scarab's at. The second half of this mission is pretty much a cakewalk because at that point you'll have your Scarab, you'll be able to take out all the enemies all the way to the Covenant base and beyond. So once we get the Scarab, we're going to see a lot of differences. Now right here you're going to send one of your Spartans to basically go take out this blister bag. The strategy for the beginning is really just bouncing your Spartans from one blister bag to another. It doesn't matter which Spartan you send out to go hijack the blister bag. All that matters is that you do grab one. Now over here when you get to this base, notice I kind of just kept everybody moving while Alice took over one of those blister bags. I just kept everybody moving so that way when that other blister bag, I could send Douglas to go take it out. So when you have both of the blister bags, this allows you to be able to take out any enemy nearby, basically kind of like how we did with the Kodiaks. It's really important that we have these blister bags because they're going to be very useful in taking out not only this infantry but the other blister bags nearby. And it's also going to be really important because the blister bags allow you to take out enemies from range, which is going to be really integral when we start dealing with enemies when we start getting closer and closer to the Scarab. Now, as you see back here, I keep two Marines in the back. That way, they keep taking out the basically they go gather those resources because we're going to need those resources later on. Now, in any case, any of your ODSTs or any of your forces get hurt, just feel free to micro them all back, and then you'll be able to you'll be able to use them for later on when we use the restoration drones when we gather a few more resources. Now for the beginning part you're only going to use like maybe 2, maybe 3 of the leader powers that you see. Notice how earlier on I did put my 1 leader point that I get at the beginning of the mission into restoration drones, and then I'll be using the restoration drones, the ODSTs, as well as potentially the drop turret. You're only really going to need those 3 for the beginning part of this mission. Now, right here, you're going to deal with 2 grunt squads plus 1 elite ranger squad. Pretty much the only way that you have to really handle this is keep your blister backs up front. Now, in any case, I was thinking about tossing down the drop turret, but I thought better of it. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to send up your Scorpions, use your blister backs to kind of take out these enemies But if you do see, like, notice how I'm just kind of letting that blisterback get hurt. There's a reason for that, because the goal here is to use the next to hijack that next blisterback, and we're just going to send Alice up to go hijack that other blisterback as well. Now, you don't have to wait for your unit to be you don't have to wait for that hijacked vehicle to be destroyed to be able to hijack. You can just basically jump out of an already hijacked vehicle, which will destroy it, and then go into another hijacked vehicle just like this. Notice how you're able to use the hijack method or the hijack mechanic in or out of vehicles. You can wait for your vehicle to be destroyed if you want to wait, or you can wait, or you don't have to wait, and you can just jump right into another vehicle if you would like. Now, the cool part about all this is it allows you to be able to bounce from vehicle to vehicle so long as the cooldown is there, basically. Now, at a certain point, you're going to want to use your restoration drones on your current forces. You won't want to waste your ODSTs quite yet. You're going to want to use them not much later on, but definitely a little later on. That way you can make sure that you are using them efficiently. Now, Alice got her blisterback destroyed, which is completely fine. The idea here is to send your Spartans up if you need to. Just make sure that their shields are up, because there are elite rangers and they are going to be able to kill your Spartans pretty easily. Now, you could use Spartan Slam like I'm about to right here. This allows you to do a lot of damage to a very small area, and it allows you to stun the enemies in the area as well. Now, right here, I grabbed the Restoration Drones level 3 with that leader point. So if you've been keeping track, 2 of the leader points have been going to Restoration Drones. Now, just kind of moving up slowly. We're not being super aggressive with our forces right now. We're just taking our time, moving up, kind of like how we did in Under the Dark. We don't want to just be too overzealous. Gonna get our units out of that garrison. Gonna move everybody up. The cool part about the ODSCs that you have in your custody, you want to keep them alive, because the cool part about them is that they will be able to keep repairing your tanks. They're gonna be able to repair pretty much any vehicle that you have. I'm not sure if they are able to do it for your scarab. I haven't seen it where they can since I've tested it, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's just like a way to do it, and I just wasn't able to pay attention to. I wasn't paying attention to. So you can bounce into each of these banshees that you see. Notice how that first banshee, pretty simple. You do a lot of damage to the banshee with your Spartan Slam, so it kind of keeps it balanced. There are, I think, a grand total of 3 or 4 blisterbacks in this entire area, so you will want to keep them. You will want to keep them as your priority to hijack. I kind of took over these banshees because I did not want to see them run away. But if they do run away, just remember you can hijack them. You can bring up your infantry forces, and they'll be able to help you out pretty easily. Now, we're kind of just microing our forces back so long as they keep taking so long as their shields are down. That's kind of the rule that I follow. Beyond that, just kind of keep them in the fight, be aggressive. Now, here's this blisterback. We're about to take this one out. Gonna move up. Now, you could just bring all your units and put them in this garrison right here, but I'm kind of just using the 2 Spartans because I want to maximize my combat score at the end of the mission. You will probably lose a good amount of your forces if you decide to just go gung-ho and put all your forces right here in the middle of the fight. Now, once you eliminate the very first wave of enemies, I would recommend bringing all your forces up and sending them up the left side, so that way they are able to take out some of the enemies on the left side. There we go. We got some banshees. The banshees really only come from the left side, I've noticed. However, the goal here is to basically eliminate enough of the enemies where when you start taking out that honor guard, you don't really have to worry about many enemies. You're just going to have to worry about the honor guard, the reavers, and the blisterbacks themselves. So, when you get to this part right here, you're going to see 2 blisterbacks. There's going to be 1 blisterback on each side, and then there are going to be 2 reavers as well as 2 squads of the jump pack brutes. So the trick here is basically just microwaving all your forces back to where they can all, like, you want to micro your Spartan back, kind of like bait them into your forces. Gonna send everybody in now, and notice how I actually did end up taking the Reaver. I took the Reaver for a reason, because they're going to be very integral in taking the blisterbacks later on. You're going to use them to counter the blisterbacks in the next area, and even here, like, they're very useful in taking out the enemy. Now, you do not want to sit still while the honor guard does damage. Remember, it is a stationary unit, so it doesn't really do much other, like, it won't do enough damage if you move as you go. So you don't want to sit still, because if you sit still, it will do damage to you, and it does a lot of damage. So make sure that you are moving along. Now, after this cutscene, you're going to have the Scarab, and beyond this point, the hardest part with the Scarab really comes down to taking this base up here. After this, like, we could qualify this as about halfway through the mission, because, or like the rest of this mission is going to be pretty simple, because you'll have your Scarab, and the Scarab has a lot of health. And once I show you the strategy for this, which I'm sure that you can guess, if we have access to Nightingales, you bet you build a Nightingale. Basically what happens is you're going to use your Nightingales to keep it healed, and you're just going to keep a consistent path, a consistent flow of destruction with it. That way you are able to keep a good amount of progress going. Now, I tossed down the drop turret right here. That way I can kind of stun those hunters. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get both. But notice how I'm still kind of being aggressive with it, even though Scarab is taking a good amount of damage. But it is completely okay, because we have the drop turret drawing a lot of the fire from all the units around us. Like, and those elite rangers here, as you can see, are not really doing much against our unit, against the Scarab. And the drop turret is doing fantastic against those grunt squads. Kind of waiting to take out that last one. We still have that one elite ranger squad, but in a few moments we'll be dealing with it. So we're moving all of our forces up, and then we'll be able to send pretty much all of our forces to go take that one out. We won't be able to move up until this barricade is destroyed. Now, it doesn't matter, I don't think it does matter which barricade you go through. You could send the Scarab to the south and take out that barricade, or you could take out this barricade. It doesn't really matter. I haven't really explored the strategy of taking the Scarab all the way down and coming from the left side of that banished base, but either way, like, it doesn't really change much from what I've seen, because you could micro the Scarab back if it starts taking too much damage, and at the end of the day, you're still dealing with the same amount of enemies. It's gonna be the same banished base. Nothing really changes in that matter. But once you destroy that barricade and you move your forces up a bit, you're going to be dealing with 2 squads of hunters. Those 2 squads of hunters are the first 2 squads that you're going to be dealing with here. You're going to be dealing with, I think, a grand total of 4 total hunters, which, not that bad, but it will do a lot of damage if you just keep your Scarab by itself. Or if you just send everybody in, I can guarantee you're going to lose maybe 1 Scorpion, and I would even argue you'll probably lose quite a few of your Marines, and you're going to need as many of those as you possibly can to take out this area right here. But notice how I sent in my Scarab, and I took out the turrets first. That is a very, very deliberate why I did that, because I don't want to have, on top of the enemies, I don't want to have any enemies, any extra enemy fire on my Scarab. Now, there are 2 enemy blisterbacks that you're going to be dealing with. Make sure that you do take them out eventually. The way that I end up doing this is I send in my not my Scarab, but I send in my Spartans to go hijack, just like we did before. Now, if you want to move your Scarab up to go take out these enemies, the best way to do that is really kind of just stomping on them, because it does do splash damage when you walk up to them. So you could do that. It's up to you. Kind of moving up. Almost there to this blisterback here on the left. Now, if you want, I would recommend if you lost your Spartan in their Reaver, I would recommend hijacking one of those one of those blisterbacks. If you have your Reaver, keep your Spartan in that Reaver, because it's going to be super nice when you start dealing with the onslaught of banished forces that are just going to be like basically sending a bunch of banshees at you while you build this base. Now, in the meantime, while you destroy this base, you're going to kind of just go around, gather all the resources around the area, go take that Forerunner tower, and then you're going to kind of get everything ready, or get everybody in the position to be ready to move out pretty much immediately after you build this base. Now, we're going to move your Reaver up to the very front of your base. Your Scarab will be microed back to the back of your base. Basically, you kind of want to be near your forces however you can get there. As I said, the Reaver is kind of your main defensive option in the beginning part of this mission. Now, so eventually you're going to just want to move your Scarab up. It's like, even when it has low health, there's not an objective that says like keep your Scarab under 50%, keep your Scarab from going below 50% health. I mean, would have been a neat objective, but especially since you have Nightingale. But this right here is where you're going to want to just like get everything going. Now, notice how I immediately I had everything going on. I built all my supply pads, that generator, and then I decided to build that garage. Now, the strategy for this mission is actually fairly straightforward. The strategy for this is you build Nightingale. After you build your Nightingale, you're going to get Wolverines to go counter more air units, because you're not going to be able to handle all the air units with just that one Reaver alone. You're going to want to make sure that you also get more tanks. So eventually you're going to be getting to that point where you have just like that Nightingale synergy with your forces that allows you to be able to handle a lot of enemies really easily. Again, especially since in this mission, in this run, I'm not sure if it's a glitch or anything like that, but I did not deal with a single banished leader power at all this mission, which is really nice because it kind of effed you in the previous mission, right? They kind of made you deal with a lot. So this is a very nice, like, relaxing part. You're not going to lose your entire army because of one banished glassing beam. So you're going to be completely fine. Now, once that first barrier is down, just move your Scarab up. You're going to immediately try to get Nightingales out as fast as you possibly can. Now, another objective that you can get for this mission is to get to the Banished base in less than 20 minutes. If you are able to destroy that base within 20 minutes, you'll get an extra amount of personal score added to your score, which again only helps you. Everybody here is going to be moving up in a few moments. You're going to send your ODSTs plus your Cyclops to go take pretty much a lot of these areas around here, and any garrisonable unit that you have, you're going to immediately send to go take. Now the Cyclops over here, because I have my ODSTs inside that garrison tower, you're going to use the rest of your infantry to go take any of the other Forerunner towers. Now, you will want to be careful here with your Scarab. Notice how low my Scarab is. At a certain point, I do believe I tossed down restoration drones on top of it, but I also panic and I immediately start getting Nightingales out as fast as I possibly can. Gonna move our Reavers up. Gonna move all my forces up as well, keeping an eye on my Scarab. Again, they give you that Scarab health right underneath that, right under that timer right there. So if you want to always go away from your Scarab while it does something, just make sure that you are keeping an eye on that whenever you get a chance to. Like maybe a quick glance, making sure it's fine. I mean, that's a good way to just that's a good habit to get into, especially with one of these units. Now we're going to toss down those restoration drones. It's definitely going to help your Scarab out. Going to keep upgrading all of our stuff. Get a siege turret here and then a siege turret here. So kind of like what we did in Hold the Line, you're going to have two of the corners. They're going to be diagonal to each other that have regular turrets, and then two more turrets that are going to have be siege. It's going to be very useful for when we start dealing with those enemies on the other side, and there's just going to be a huge swarm, so you're going to definitely want siege turrets. You're going to definitely want to have your units ready. Now, I tossed down the drop turret to go help out that Reaver because Alice was dealing with a lot of damage. So it's just to help out Alice. Now, right here, just making sure, trying to find a good point where I can use, trying to get to that point where I can get reinforcements level 1. I destroyed the garage on my main base because I have that garage on my 2 base mini base right there. And once we get that air pad going, we're going to be able to use those nightingales. Tossing down archer missiles right here to go kind of get all those enemies away, and it also provides a little bit of vision. That's why we have those siege turrets. All right, looks like we're dealing with some enemy fire over here. Considering moving up Alice here for the with the Reaver, just gonna start panic building nightingales at this point. You're gonna want to put 2 of your leader points, no matter what time. You're gonna put them into your R&D leader power, which allows you to get discounts at your for your like research for your tech. So garage units, they're gonna be cheaper, and their upgrade is gonna be cheaper as well. So it's kind of nice, especially earlier on. It allows you to scale much quicker rather than deal with waiting for the correct amount of power that you would normally have. Now moving our Nightingale over here, kind of waiting, making sure everything is going quickly over here, waiting to get reinforcements level 1 again. Gonna get these supplies right here. So this is kind of like that dead time right now where we're kind of waiting, getting our forces, kind of like basically getting them ready. Gonna get logistics level 1 as well. Looking around. Alice just sitting there hitting a barrier that she can't even take out. But this is kind of the strategy already. Like, notice how, like, you could have easily taken that 2 base mini base, which we did earlier on. You don't have to worry. The main issue that you should be worrying about early on is that next covenant, not covenant. I don't know why I keep saying covenant, but that next banished base, where you see that next Forerunner power tower. So that's the only part that I would recommend being careful of. I was trying to use the Lotus Mines here to get vision on the enemy. It didn't work out. It did let me see a little bit of the fog of war though, so there is that advantage. Trying to see if they'll just keep hitting. I was trying to see if I could drop this turret over here, but unfortunately, not enough vision. So, and the siege turret, even though it's trying, isn't going to be able to hit anything. We need to be able to get better vision. And kept trying to see if there was a way to put the turret down. All right. When you have a good amount of your forces ready, you are, or not forces, but you want to have a decent amount of Nightingales ready to move up. So once you have like 3 to 4 Nightingales, I think you would be in a good spot. You're not going to be like overpowered or anything. Like, you'll still have units that you'll lose, but you're going to be in a good position where they'll be able to keep repairing your Scarab and the rest of your more important units like your Scarab. Now, when the enemies start coming up, you're going to want to make sure that you are ready with your archer missiles to drop those on top of the enemy. You're going to get some Wolverines out and get some more Nightingales and get air level 2 coming up. Now, we still don't have what's it called? We don't have the command center upgrade, so we will want to have that eventually. For now, we're just going to chill out. Now, they're going to send a large swarm of Banshees. This is a point where you're going to use a good portion of your leader powers and also make sure that you have your Wolverines ready to rock and roll. You need at least 1. You just need 1 right here. Wolverines are very effective, especially if you have your Nightingales ready. So if you have your Nightingales and they're already doing a lot to help you out, like Wolverines are all like just 1 or 2 Wolverines are good enough to take out a good swarm of air units. So like just make sure that you are aware, and feel free, and you're gonna want to definitely micro them back whenever you start dealing with a lot of air units. So micro them back because air units are more prone to follow you than more of the other banished units like locusts or like the banished vehicles and banished infantry. So there is that. Now there are quite a few locusts here, but locusts against your forces, I'm not worried about it. And there are quite a few. The only thing I'm really worried about in this part is basically 2 things: the blisterbacks and the hunters. You do not really need to worry about grunt squads or locusts or even banshees for that matter, because you kind of counter banshees with your Wolverines. But so far so good. Just keeping an eye out. We could get air level 3 once we get the appropriate amount of power. Again, notice how I haven't had to deal with a single banished power. Their leader powers kind of, maybe they used all their leader powers in the previous mission, or maybe the cost of losing the enduring conviction is that they lose the ability to toss down leader powers. Which, to be honest, that'd be a pretty cool thing to see. Gonna toss down my archer missiles. There we go. Got a lot of units destroyed there, and still considering whether or not I should put down that drop turret. Regardless, doesn't matter. We're going to get more scorpions soon. Now, if you destroy 25 structures with your scarab, you do get more points. I think it's 1,000? Maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 points. So, pretty nice. So, with your final, you're going to put your Battle Hardened level 2. That allows you to get veterancy much quicker, and that's especially useful for your scarab. Now, sending in my scarab to go handle any extra banished units that are kind of like giving them flack. Like that Nightingale was getting absolutely destroyed. If you need to, feel free to toss down ODSTs. ODSTs are very useful here. I tossed down the drop turret again right here because a lot of the units were nearby. It just made sense to toss it down. Getting command center level, getting my command center, which is level 3. The level 3 station, I guess. Now, with the rest of these units, you're going to grab this Forerunner tower, and you're going to kind of want to wait a little bit here, because the goal is to build that base and make sure that you are ready to keep moving forward. Because once you get to this part, it's pretty well, once you destroy that banished base, there's one more base that you have to destroy, and it's the hardest base to take out. But that's only because there's a huge amount of enemies nearby. So you're going to take your time, make sure that you have your forces, kind of like get your forces back up and running. You're definitely going to want to take out this this little Forerunner outpost, or not Forerunner outpost, this banished outpost. I don't know what's going on, guys, I'm sorry. But you're going to want to take out that banished outpost, and you're going to also use that as another area for you to macro your forces. I'm going to send one of my ODSTs to go hop into that garrison. So we took out all the banished facilities. That means that you had to take out the one at the beginning, the one where we have our current two slot mini base, and the one that we just put down. So that's all you have to do. Nothing more than that. Those elite rangers were wreaking havoc on those ODSTs. There we go. So once you hit level 3, I guess the headquarters or whatever, you are able to build tanks at that point. Now the tanks are going to be really, really nice for you because they're going to be able to handle a large portion of the enemy, and that is essentially just going to help. It's going to help you, not hurt you. So, however, you want to be careful not putting too many tanks, because there's still plenty of air units. Especially once you destroy the banished base, you're going to want to make sure that you have Wolverines. I wasn't able to finish this mission. I could have saved like maybe 2 minutes if I had a bunch of Wolverines ready. Now getting that canister shell upgrade. Canister shell is going to be super. It's going to be super nice for when you start dealing with enemies that cluster up like that. as you see there, that is really ideal when it comes to dealing with enemies with your tanks. Now feel free to toss down pretty much everything you can. Archer missiles right here, gonna just do a lot of damage there. You have to kill, I think, 25 squads with your scarab. I think it might be more than that. Don't quote me on that. But typically it's like 25 to 40. Very rarely is it a 50, unlike in Under the Dark, which is why it made it so difficult. But notice how I kind of just like set everything at the enemy. I did not like waste any time to really send all my units. Now getting some more tanks, getting some more Wolverines, getting more Nightingales, tossing a little bit back, getting another tank. But this is where I realized, like, oh, I have a bunch of Nightingales but no Wolverines. So I took a few of my Nightingales, put one more into the tanks, but that was because I wasn't seeing, like, basically I was still thinking that Alice would be useful in her Reaver, but I didn't notice that she was dead. But notice nothing crazy going on. The Scarab's not losing any health. Our Nightingales are still doing their job. Like, we're just, it's a very slow clear, and it sucks, especially because we aren't able to take out the we're not able to take out the air units in a timely manner because we don't have a way to take them out effectively. Alright, once you deal with that very first wave of banished forces, you're going to start sending your forces a little closer to the last banished base. Once you destroy this banished base, you're not going to be dealing with many more enemies after that. A lot of the forces that you deal with at the very once you destroy this base is pretty straightforward. It's all Banshees and Blisterbacks. So you're definitely going to make sure that you have tanks ready for when the Blisterbacks do land, and you're going to want to have your Wolverines ready as well, because they are going to be very integral in taking out the banished forces. Alright, so now that base is destroyed, notice how I kind of keep everybody still moving up, still kind of keeping everything going in a nice, timely way. Pretty much just trying to send my forces up to go destroy these banished these Banshees, but unfortunately I'm still waiting for Wolverines. But this next part is a lot of repel a consistent air attack, and that is it. So long as you have Nightingales, so long as you have a way to counter all those air units, you're going to be fine. Now, a bunch of tanks is still useful against air. They're just going to be a little slower at taking out those air units. Trying to see, I'm going to toss out restoration drones, get some turrets going. Get a drop turret ready. Now, I think it's like 20 Blisterbacks that you have to destroy. Maybe like, yeah, I think it's 20 to 25 Blisterbacks, and there's plenty of them. So, if you want to wait to finish the mission before by making sure you eliminate all the Blisterbacks, feel free. Making sure this base is still getting some help. I notice how this is kind of difficult with just these Spartans, not Spartans, but these Scorpions, but it's still working. There we go, eliminated another Blisterback. There we go, we have some more Wolverines coming out finally. Got some more units, as you saw on the minimap, just spawn in. There we go. Now the Wolverine finally got some anti-air. Now we're going to be able to eliminate the banished forces much quicker. I think this is the final wave of enemies. Just a bunch more Blisterbacks here. Yep, looks like it's good. Destroyed Banshees with infantry or Wolverines. There we go, we did that. And we finally finished this mission. Now, this mission, as I said, it's not that bad compared to Under the Dark. It will take a lot of practice. It is going to be a little bit of growing pains, but not nearly as much as Under the Dark. But this mission, as you saw there, I didn't lose many units. I kept my combat score very, very efficient. I just made sure that my forces were again, I was just making sure that I was deliberate with my moves. I didn't do anything that was super crazy. I didn't just like send all my units in. Again, the hardest part of this mission is definitely the beginning. But here we go. We have a ×10 combat score, meaning I did very, very good. Time bonus is all right, but here's that gold medal for you guys. If you guys liked the video, please like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I'll see you guys next time for, I believe it is, the Halo. See you guys next time.